सर आवाज येत नाहीये.
मी म्यूट वरती होतो.
अच्छा अच्छा.
ओके. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. So we do have right now 7 participants, actually 9, including me and the speaker. So 7 students we are having with us, and we will start our session. So I guess during these 3 to 3.5 months, you might have advanced your skills regarding your placement, regarding your career. And that was a motto behind sharing one Google form with you, where I asked specifically about your career interest. And lots of students gave an option of we want to have a career in IT sector. So that's why we scheduled a webinar from Mr. Hemant Mari. He is a CEO of Ink Pencil. Ink Pencil is a platform where all the knowledge can be shared, which can be posted, which can be used by the students. The students can see what is the quality of the knowledge they are sharing with us. So Hemant Mali sir um, did his post-graduation in image processing, and he is now working as data scientist as well as working as CEO in Ink Pencil. He owns that company. So I will hand over the presentation to Mr. Hemant Mari sir, and I will request him to guide all of us so that you can define your career path. We want to set a goal. Okay, after 2 years, I want to be at this position, but how to get it there? So we are going to have this knowledge, this guidance from Mr. Hemant Mari sir. Sir, please over to you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Vivek. Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's start without wasting any of the time. Okay. So I'll be starting with okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The agenda for the today's webinar was that what will be the career path in machine learning and AI. All of you know that today machine learning and AI has been a boom in the market. But to approach everything which is in machine learning and AI, you need to be acquainted with some technological skills which are very important. So let's see what is it is. Before right now, I have shared the screen where some data is being shown. The data is from the International Data Corporation, which says that in 2018 there were 33 zettabytes of data available. The very important question which rises in our mind is that, do we use data? Yes, we do use the data. Do we use it every day? Yes, we use it every day. Okay. Now, you may say that we are not using any kind of machine learning or AI in day-to-day life. It's not so. Let me explain you. When you take a photograph of any picture or yourself, immediately that data is converted into the digital form, and that too with the help of pixel. We can see that a digital image of you has been created. The very important part is that you will see that the values of pixels are in RGB, means red, green and blue. And these numbers, there is a number for every pixel. The intensity of red, intensity of green, intensity of blue present in that particular pixel. So in all, the picture which you have taken during a photo shoot, it has been converted into the digital data. Now, the very important part is that, is data is going to increase in future? Yes, it is going to increase in future. So I have put this slide over here, that annual size of global data sphere by 2025, it will be 175 zettabytes. So it's a huge data. Every day we are going pouring and pouring this data on internet. And let me show you one thing. that if data is coming so much, is there happening in industry due to that data? So we'll have one more. Uh, let me show you this. Okay. Can you see the screen of a bar chart?
Yes, sir. You can.
Okay. So it is this is from March 2000, and you keenly observe, all of you, that which kind of companies have came into the existence.
Sir, Hemant sir. Hemant sir. Hemant
So
sir.
right now there is Facebook at the bottom line.
Hello sir. Hemant sir.
Sir, the screen is not available. The
Uh,
earlier screen is there.
are you showing something different than the PowerPoint? We can see the PowerPoint presentation only.
I was showing a video for them. Hello.
Maybe you have to share it once again because we are able to see the PowerPoint presentation only.
Okay. Now is it
Yes, sir. We can see it.
okay? Okay. So basically, this was an infographics, which was actually, I will show it from backside. So this was an infographics which will show you the statistics that where the Facebook was, where the other companies were, which were not related to the data anyhow. But when the data came into the existence and they made the business out of data, so where they have reached. So let's see this video. So the first three companies, what we can see is all about data. I will just forward it. So we have seen one video in which we have seen that the first three companies which are top right now are only related with the data. The very first was the Google. So all of you know that whenever we use a Google, Google has a lot of many machine engines which are running, machine learning engineers which are running behind the all the portfolio on the front end which we see. So very good example of this is that when we type you are technological people, then if you have used that search previously finding some Java courses, you will see there will be an all the result which will be shown on Java itself of technology, not on a Java coffee. So how it is possible? How it happens? So this happens with the help of the machine learning and AI. So as I told you previously also that machine learning is not it is not a big deal, but if you learn it step by step, taking every aspect of it, then you will understand what machine learning is. Let us see, let's dig deep, digger and find out what machine learning is. Okay. So all of you can see machine learning slide.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes,
I have
sir.
divided here slides into two parts. What is machine learning and what does AI works? So very important part here it is that actual how machine learning does. If we see the traditional programming, in traditional programming, what we are doing, we are giving an input, we are writing a program and we get one particular output. But in machine learning, we give input, we if it is a supervised learning, we give output also to it, and according to your input and output you will get a program which we call as a model. So machine learning basically works like an human being. For example, for a machine learning there are three steps. First step is training, second is validation, you validate it, and then there is an execution of it. As a human being, if I have if anyone shows me a picture of apple, so what will happen? I will immediately recognize it that it is an apple. But if anyone shows me pictures from all together from different aspects of it with some different view, still I am able to get that it is an apple, because human beings are made uh, with a perception that it takes everything. It's just not see the 2D of it, it sees 3D. And plus it takes what is the depth, what is the light condition, whether the shape is round, or what would be the color of an apple. So all these parameters which describes an apples are called as the features. These features are embedded in our brain, so we are able to recognize the very next time, even if we keep that apple with onions, or even if we keep that apple with oranges, still we are able to recognize that that is an apple. So basically how it happens, it happens with the help of thresholds. We we use the neural network which is in our brain. With the neural cells we are able to recognize what would, how much red it is, what could be the shape of an apple. So in similar way, when we are doing machine learning, we need to give an input to a machine that this is the color, this is the depth, this is the shape which you have to recognize. Whereas machine learning is a subset of AI. AI itself is a big thing. So what does AI consist of? It consists of cognitive computing, then computer vision, machine learning. As I told that it is a subset. So machine learning is a part of AI. Then there is a natural language processing. The very good example of natural language processing is what we use, Siri of Apple, or you can take of Amazon Alexa. These are very good example of natural language processing. So whenever you give a command to Siri or an Alexa, it decodes it and it interprets it. When you say that I want an apple for programming, it will really it will judge that sentence. Yes, he wants his Apple phone, not an apple. So this natural language processing, it has a too much scope right now. So nowadays we are using it like Alexa and Siri. Deep learning. Deep learning is very fantastic, and it will change the things which will come into the near future. Let me tell you very good example of deep fake. With the help of neural network, you are able to generate the face scratcher of you as it is, and you can put it on the face of any other celebrity. So deepfake, if you are aware, I don't know, but Facebook has recently kept one competition. The prize money of that was 75 lakh rupees. And what they were expecting that to recognize the deepfake videos which are posted on Facebook. So recently that competition happened, and the one who won the prize was only able to recognize 60% of it. Still, he got a prize. So deep learning is a fantastic technology coming into the existence right now. So to support this AI, some technologies are required. So here on screen, you can see that graphical processing unit, Internet of Things, advanced algorithms, and APIs are some of the technologies which are actually helping AI to come into the existence in the real world. Let me explain you this in a very lucid manner. So as we have seen in a previous slide, that AI is a big domain. The subset of AI is machine learning, and the subset of machine learning is deep learning. Just to introduce to you what could be the machine learning, let us see what happens with machine learning. Machine learning works with the three things. The very first is supervised learning, second is unsupervised learning, and the third is reinforcement learning. The supervised learning, let us see one example of it. So my input data is an apple. So when I give, first I train the model that by giving the lot of information of apple to a model. So like I will give that what could be the color of apple, what could be the shape, what dimension it will have. So these are all features which we can give to a model in a supervised learning. So whenever we give an apple as an input to that model, it is in a position to predict that it is an apple. So you can see when we give an input apple to a model, it will predict that it is an apple. But what if we have trained, we have a lot of fruits, like we have a different color apple, or we have different colors of fruits, and if we give it to a model, so now model doesn't have what to call it. So with the learning, it will bifurcate it into the three groups, which we call as a clustering. So in supervised learning, there are two things. There is a regression model or a classification model. So right now, many of the industry which are using are classification models. Like very simple, I will take an example of an Amazon. When you go to purchase anything on Amazon, when you see there, the prediction models runs behind, and it tells it whether he will purchase it or not. If he is able to purchase, if the prediction models tells him by the back history that he will purchase, immediately he will give some suggestions according to your purchase history. If you have an history that you have purchased a headphone from range 1000 to 2000, it's most probably that Amazon will show you within that range which could be the best headphones you can purchase. So this comes into the classification. The classification basically comes with yes or no. if he will purchase or not, like this. But whereas unsupervised learning, it comes with a clustering. In clustering, a data is given, like for this model, we have given apple, oranges, and banana. So it will cluster it out. What could be the apple, what could be the oranges, and what could be the banana. In similar way, if I give uh, like photos of like uh, cat and dogs, so unsupervised learning, as he that model doesn't know what has to be done with that data, but with the knowledge previously fed into the model, it will cluster it out. So there is a supervised learning and unsupervised learning. And the very important and the most important is reinforcement learning, like humans do. Like, for example, how we learn to write. Let me tell you that at the very first stroke, we don't draw the characters as it is, which should be there, but it doesn't happen. So first we learn standing line, sleeping lines, then we create a character, and then we are able to write in a good speed. So how it happens? So we get a failure. So every time we get a failure, we learn something. Every time we get a failure, we learn something. And this is the model of reinforcement. Same thing happens with the AI also. In machine learning, basically what happens? For example, I have taken one example here. There is a dinosaur which has to go towards the tree. So how he will go? So he will first try some path and he may fail. He might find second path, then he may fail. But he will get some reward, he will get some states. So with rewards, error, some states, the machine learns on its own. And then at the end, result is that it will learn the actual path to go towards the tree. So this is reinforcement learning. So very important that if you are good in reinforcement learning, then the future is very bright. And the reinforcement learning part basically comes in the deep learning part. So deep learning is booming now with a good speed. The only reason is that it is a reinforcement learning. So let me take you to a ride of a reinforcement learning. I got a very good paper which has been converted into the animation, which they have shown that how there are two computers which are playing hide and seek. So there are two teams over there consisting of two people each. They are playing hide and seek, and millions of iterations of reinforcement has been carried out with the help of the paper algorithm, and we'll see the results. So can I show you the video?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see it?
No, sir.
Now you are able to see it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is very interesting paper which was there, uh, which runs on the autocurricula, agent autocurricula. It is multi-agent autocurricula. So there are two teams. There is a blue team and there is a pink team, which uh, they are playing hide and seek, and these are completely computers. So even though there is an animation, but animations are being conducted on the iteration what happened using this paper. So I would like to show you.
I look at the exact rules here, I will note that the goal of the project was to pit two AI teams against each other and hopefully see some interesting emergent behaviors. And boy, did they do some crazy stuff. The coolest part is that the two teams compete against each other, and whenever one team discovers a new strategy, the other one has to adapt. Kind of like an arms race situation, and it also resembles generative adversarial networks a little. And the results are magnificent, amusing, weird. You'll see in a moment. These agents learn from previous experiences, and to the surprise of no one.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So here there are two teams. One is a blue team and another one is a pink team. So the rule is very simple. They should not be in a line of sight. If they see each other, the other teams wins. So blue team is also in computer and pink team is also in computer, which are using the paper algorithm for them. And see that for the millions of iteration, these two teams doesn't do anything on a first go for a million of iteration. So after that, a miracle happens. How the reinforcement comes into existence, you will see it. So
For the
let's see
first
that.
few million rounds, we start out with pandemonium. Everyone just running around aimlessly. Without proper strategy and semi-random movements, the seekers are favored and hence win the majority of the games. Nothing to see here. Then, over time, the hiders learned to lock out the seekers by blocking the doors off with these boxes and started winning consistently. I think the coolest part about this is that the map was deliberately designed by the OpenAI scientists in a way that the hiders can only succeed through collaboration. They cannot win alone, and hence they are forced to learn to work together, which they did quite well. But then something happened. Did you notice this pointy, doorstop shaped object? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Well, probably. And not only that, but about 10 million rounds later, the AI also discovered that it can be pushed near a wall and be used as a ramp, and ta-da, got him. The seeker started winning more again. So the ball is now back on the court of the hiders. Can we defend this? If so, how? Well, these resourceful little critters learned that since there is a little time at the start of the game when the seekers are frozen, apparently during this time.
So you have seen that first they were blocking the view with the help of the boxes, and after that they learned that with the piece of box which was outside, with them they can win. But see what is happening. See, AI learns on itself. So with the help of the reinforcement, the blue team is taking that piece of a box inside the wall, so they cannot win. Let us see how interesting it is becoming more and more.
You cannot see them, so why not just sneak out, steal the ramp, and lock it away from them? Absolutely incredible. Look at those happy eyes as they are carrying that ramp. And you think it all ends here? No, 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 not even close. It gets weirder, much weirder. When playing a different map, the seeker has noticed that it can use a ramp to climb on the top of a box, and this happens. Do you think couch surfing is cool? Give me a break. This is box surfing. And the scientists were quite surprised by this move, as this was one of the first cases where the seeker AI seems to have broken the game. What happens here is that the physics system is coded in a way that they are able to move around by exerting force on themselves, but there is no additional check whether they are on the floor or not, because who in their right mind would think about that? As a result, something that shouldn't ever happen does happen here. And we are still not done yet. This paper just keeps on giving. A few 100 million later, the hiders learned to separate all the ramps from the boxes. Dear fellow scholars, this is proper box surfing defense. Then lock down the remaining tools and build a shelter. Note how well rehearsed and executed this strategy is. There is not a second of time left until the seekers take off. I also love this cheeky move where they set up the shelter right next to the seekers, and I almost feel like they are saying, yeah, see this here? There is not a single thing you can do about it. In a few isolated cases, other interesting behaviors also emerged. For instance, the hiders learned to exploit the physics system and just chuck the ramp away. After that, the seekers go, what? What just happened? But don't despair, and at this point, I would also recommend that you hold on to your papers because there was also a crazy case where a seeker also learned to abuse a similar physics issue and launch itself exactly onto the top of the hiders. Man, what a paper. This system can be extended and modded.
That was a great animation, sir.
Thank you. So we have seen that how an reinforcement works, isn't it? The one team was hiding from the other, and they have done a miracle over there. Just there was no coding. The algorithm was running for different iteration for million times, and after million times running, that algorithm has learned that yes, we can put ramp outside the game itself, or we can use that ramp to climb the boxes and see who is hiding over there. So it's so fantastic, isn't it? Because machine itself is taking decision, no human was involved in it. So reinforcement will be the tomorrow's coming info, means technology. Deep learning will come in a such a way that it will change the technological use also. So right now we have seen, means 1 year ago, the Google has shown us that how a person can take an appointment for the barber shop and all those parts. So this happens. This happens because the system learns again and again and again like a human. We learn by the very first day. We don't ride a cycle, so we fall down many times, we get hurt, but we learn after practicing more and more. We learn it, and now even the people ride the bicycle just throwing their hands away, isn't it? So he learns it. Similarly, reinforcement excites the algorithms to get into the involvement into the programming and come into one conclusion that it can learn like a human. So all the tries which are happening right now is to think like an human. Okay, so we'll see the very next of it. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I have differentiated what is AI, what is machine learning, and data science. So in very lucid language, if we go to a layman and ask what is machine learning, he will say that something related to the computers, robots. But if you ask the same question to any machine learning engineer or artificial learning engineer, he will say that it's a set of algorithms learned to do something. So that could be the definition for artificial intelligence from my side. So you can completely see how the differentiation is there. So artificial intelligence most probably use popular tools like TensorFlow, Scikit-learn, Keras. Actually, the very first tool was Keras, but now it has been acquainted by the Google, and now it has been converted into TensorFlow. So Keras and TensorFlow are not a different thing, almost same thing. Then we can see in machine learning, popular tools which are used are like IBM Watson, Amazon, LX2, Microsoft Azure, ML Studio. I'm not talking about cloud. Azure is a cloud, but ML Studio is there. So nowadays, the website which will come will be incorporated with the ML programming from all the stack. Okay. Now, uh, data science. So in all, everything right from the scratch, from a raw data to a predictive model and making some sense out of that prediction is a data science. So many things like fraud detection, healthcare analysis, popular examples of data science. Let us see how we can learn this machine learning. There are simple, I will categorize this machine learning into 7 steps. The very first step is gathering the data. Second is, see, we can gather a data from anywhere. Like, let me tell you one very good case study which came into the existence right now. There was an insurance company which was gathering data of your smartphone. And what was that data? So data was the data of accelerometer. So everyone might be aware that there is an accelerometer in our smartphones. So whenever you were riding a bike or a car, so with the help of accelerometer, the data was calculated that at what speed you are driving your car and your bike. So how fantastic it is that with a small device, accelerometer, which is present in your cell phone, smartphone, the data was collected at the user end, that which, so that insurance company came with an idea that give the insurance to that person only who drives the car or a bike safely. So how data is going to change the world. So tomorrow it might happen that you go there and you say that I want to get an insurance, but if they have a data and they have a data of a rash driving, then they may not permit to get an insurance because it will make a loss to their company. So data is not, it is an oil. I can say it is a today's oil. So it isn't rich. Everyone is running behind the data. See, we get a free apps, we get a free uh, many things on an internet, but you are the data. They take your data for a free. When we install any app, you can see that they take a permission from you, that which kind of you have to give a permission of camera, you have to give them the permission of messages. Very good example of this is that whenever an OTP comes, you can see there that in some websites the OTP is taken automatically on the portal. So how it happens? So there is a machine learning engine running behind it. Okay. So data, gathering data, it could be any data. It could be voice data, it could be picture, it could be information. So we can gather the data. Second part is preparing the data. Many a times when we fill a form, we keep something uh, missing over there. Like suppose there is a form which requires name, age, then what is your occupation. So you might skip that. I will not give age of mine. So many a times it happens that there is an incomplete data. So there is a missing data, repetitive data. You need to work on that data and make a clean sheet, clean data sheet, so we can apply a model to it. Then the third steps come, giving a model. Suppose choosing a model is very simple. If there is an yes and no, if I have to purchase this or not, so linear regression works very well over there. But there is a number of features. Like for example, you want to purchase a house. So there could be a different types of feature. What is the location? How what is the electricity condition over there? How much square feet it is? How far it is from airport? So this could be number of features to make a decision. So when the for different types of features and condition, we have to choose a different model. So choosing model is very, very important. We can't choose randomly any model. So, and not only choosing model will help you out, but you need to train it. You have to give that data to a model so that it will train it. For example, how we get a train. So many times our parent used to tell us that uh, you learn the tables for mathematics. So what we used to do, we used to train our brain so that if I ask you what is 2 twos are, the very moment I ask you 2 twos are, you will say the answer is 4 because you are trained. So training is very important. But if I ask you 132 multiplied by 126, what is the answer? So you won't be able, because you are not trained to give the instantaneously answer for that particular thing. So as we know that repetition is nothing but, all say that practice makes man perfect. So you need to practice it. And then after training, we evaluate whether my model is working properly or not. So how we evaluate, how our parents used to evaluate us? Very simple. They used to ask some questions like, as I told you in a previous example, what is 2 2s are? So this was evaluation of you. Are you able to answer it for? Then you are trained for that particular thing. Similarly, for the model what we have made, we need to evaluate. So we give a testing data and evaluate it. Then the sixth part is very important. It's called as the hyperparameter tuning, which is the crux of machine learning. Here, till gathering the data, preparing the data, choosing model training, it's the easy part. But the parts which are difficult and which you should know in theoretical manner and practical manner is hyperparameter tuning. If we are unable to parameter, means for example, there is one algorithm like decision tree. So to make a decision, we use a decision tree. So you should know how many nodes you have to use, how many branches should be there, what parameter should be taken, which feature should be taken. So all this comes under the hyperparameter tree. And one who is good in this, he has a lot of demand in machine learning, because come to a decision that yes, training it, evaluate, hyperparameter tuning, and coming up to the prediction, and seeing whether the prediction is right or not. Let's move further and see what are prerequisite which is required to become an machine learning engineer. It is mandatory to learn programming language, preferably Python. Why Python? Because it is the most valued programming language right now. So you can see I have a video of it, but I will skip it because it will consume a time. Python is very good language. There is R also, but the demand of Python is way too high than R. And the libraries associated with Python are too good. So many machine learning engineers, data scientists use Python. So my urge will be to all of you will be that please do learn Python. It is very important. Now, yes, there is some requirement of mathematics also. So there are 3 mathematical areas you need to brush up before jumping into the machine learning problems. So the very first is linear algebra, in which you should be very much uh, acquainted with the what are scalars, vector, matrices, and tensor. Then you should know derivatives, gradients, probability theories, multivariate calculus, and very important part is algorithm and complex optimization. So this is very interesting that these are the importance why we should learn Python. So Python libraries, as I told you, those are fantastic libraries, whether it is a computer vision problem, whether it is a data scientist problem, machine learning problem, AI problem, or deep learning problem. Python has a very good libraries. At the end of my presentation, I will show you the live demo and how I have used a Python TensorFlow to to show you how the object recognition happens. At the end, I will show you that. Then there is a flexibility, and as it is an open source, we get the code, we can change it. So it is very good, and there is a very good community support also. So I will suggest that if there is a bifurcation that what you should learn, or there is a dilemma what you should learn, so I will suggest that you learn a Python rather than going to the R. There are 10 machine learning algorithms you should know. So if you want to start as a beginner or to be an expert, but you should know this. So there are assemble methods, decision trees, neural network, co-joint analysis, hypothesis algorithm, linear regression, logistic regression. So I won't go in a detail of it. Just I want to give a glimpse of it, that you should not get a glitch while learning and machine learning, that what I am learning right now. So at least you should acquainted with this 10 good algorithms which are used every now and then. So you can go through it. Let's see what are the tools which are used for the machine learning. So as I told you, machine learning language, there was previously C++, which was used for machine learning, but I won't suggest to go with C++. R is also becoming absolute, so I will suggest go with the Python. Then there are data analysis and visualization tools like Pandas, Matplotlib, Jupyter Notebook, Tableau, Weka, and these all five of them are very important and we should learn this. There are general machine learning frameworks like NumPy, then scikit-learn, and NLTK. NLTK is used for natural language processing. So chatbots and all those parts use NLTK. Then there are big data tools also like Apache Spark and SQL. But this particular part of big data tools most probably goes to the full stack machine learning engineer. So if you are not knowing that, then also it's good. If you are knowing Python, you are knowing NumPy, sklearn, NLTK, Pandas, Matplotlib, Tableau, still you will get a job in any of the good institute, good industry. Then there are frameworks, machine learning frameworks for neural network modeling. As I told you that neural network is nothing but a deep learning. It is coming very with a good speed and it is revolution, means it is bringing a big change in the industry. So TensorFlow is very good, and Keras, PyTorch, Cafe. Even though you know TensorFlow and Keras, it is more than sufficient to come up with a good solution. Let us see what are the job roles which are being offered in right now. So there is a machine learning engineer, which should be very good in the algorithms. Then there is a data engineer and data architecture. As I told, there were 7 steps. So first 5 steps, if you are knowing very good, then you could be a data engineer and data architecture. And if you know all of it, then you can be a data scientist. So many a times data scientist role is to take a data, raw data, clean it, bring it into a form where you can work on it, then find out the insight from that data and give a prediction. And with that prediction, a decision making can happen very nicely. Most probably, there are many jobs in financial eras. We'll come to that. Then there is a data analyst post, which is also very good if you are representing the data, because the higher authorities are not interested in the numbers or what algorithm you are using and all those parts. They are interested in how you will interpret that data, a technical thing which they will come to know. So data analyst role comes into here, which will analyze the data and will give the insight that yes, you can do, we can work on this part and we can earn some profit for the industry. So what are the salaries which are being offered? So these are per annum salaries, the trend across the country which is going on. So in Mumbai, it is this is an average. So you can see the average is still good. So in Mumbai, it is 13.3 lakhs per annum. Bangalore, it is 12.5 lakhs per annum. Then NCR is a north central region. So there you can get up to 12 lakhs. In Pune, you can get up to 10 lakhs. And in Hyderabad, you can get up to the 10 lakhs. So this is just an overview to show you that what could be the probable perks you can get for your knowledge. And this is an average. Even you get if you have a good experience, you will get more than this, 3 times than this. Okay, so there are some good books. So I thought that I should show you something that which will help you to go through the journey of machine learning. So according to me, there are some 5 good books which you can start with. So I have given photos also. Even though if you don't remember the names, with photos, you can remember that, yes, I've seen somewhere like this. So these are the 5 books which you can go. The very one favorite of mine is the first one, Hands-on Machine Learning with Scikit-learn, Keras, and TensorFlow, which most probably goes into the deep learning. But it is very good book with concept, tools, and techniques to build the intelligent system. So you can prefer it. And orally publication is, you can find it free with Google. You just search these names and you can find the books in e-format, so you can download it. So you can take a screenshot of this if you want.
I did it, sir. I will share the screenshot with students.
Thank you so much. Let's move forward. Okay, so I have, as I am a data scientist, I thought that some statistics should be shown. So you will get a clear path whether I should go with the data scientist, machine learning, or AI or not. So let us see this. These are the data scientist job listing, and for the last year. So you can see that LinkedIn, Indent, Simply Hired, Monster, AngelList. You can see there are tremendous growth which is happening right now. And this is a listing, not a number of posts. So this many times the listing has been done for a data scientist, machine learning, and AI. So I have mentioned the source also, you can check it over there. Then general skills in data scientist job listing. So here the generalized skill according to the demand, what you can cater for your career path. So I have taken over there. If you want to become an analyst, data analyst, so there is a great demand over it. There. If you want to become a machine learning, it is the second most demanded thing, and so on. So I have listed everything. So to get an overview that whether you want to be a data engineer, you want to be a neural network engineer, or a deep learning engineer, or AI engineer, or if you are a good mathematician. So this will help you out to go into the path which caters your interest, and yes, you can do something over there. So this is the general skills in data scientist job listing. So this much posts are there which are always in the flow in the market. To give you the overview, I have kept this slide. Now top 20 technology skills in data scientist job list. So though, as I told that Python is the good part, so here you can see the Python is ruling this chart. So Python is very good. Then there is a R, but let me tell you this, the demand of R is reducing. So it is because Python is much stronger, so R will go on reducing. So I will suggest go with Python, skip R. But yes, you, if you want to learn, you can learn R also, but Python is, it satisfies all the need. Then you can Hadoop, Spark, Java. So here I want to emphasize all of you that many one who wants to make a career in a IT sector, what happens? They learn like, हाँ चलो भाई Java सीख लेते हैं. But remember, what is the future after 5 years? See, you are in third year. I don't know whether you are in third year, fourth year, but if you are learning engineering right now, so when you will pass out, almost 2 years will be pass out. So after 2 years, what will be the most demanding technology? You should learn that, not which is in the existence. So you should be having the knowledge of existence, but you should more spearheaded towards the technology which are coming into the market in the next coming years. So from my side, I will suggest that machine learning, data scientist, this is the crux most demanded technologies. uh, Companies are asking for data scientist, machine learning, so you can make a career in this particular area. And this chart shows you very nicely that where you should go. If you are learning a Java, maybe after some 2-3 years it will come in a red zone, and it will be only a sustainable. See, many things are there on a Java right now, but what will happen? that which are on Java. Only maintenance part will come with the Java in near future. So you don't want to be a maintenance engineer, right? You will be just maintaining the website, or you'll be just maintaining one or particular product. So it should not happen. So what my suggestion will be that you learn the new technology and make sure that you learn it properly. See, one thing which I would like to add over here, many times whenever I give webinar, a very common question which comes into there, sir, from where I should learn, what I should do, from which website I should. See, there is a number of free sources available on internet, but it is scattered. Definitely they will give you knowledge, but it's a big puzzle. Machine learning and AI itself is a big picture. So what will happen? You will just learn a piece of it, and learning you will recognize that yes, there was one more course which was better than this. So you will invest your time, you will invest your energy, and it may happen that you may land to some barren land where you will not get some any fruits. So my suggestion will be there. You find a mentor, or you find a course which everything is been provided in a very systematic manner and to the top-notch technology which is available in India, and you follow that mentor. You take a mentorship of one person because he has gone through all the pain points which you are going right now. So I will suggest you get a mentor and learn from a mentor, because it will reduce your time, energy, and you can accelerate in that particular area very nicely. And let me tell you, this field, every day some new algorithm, some new technology is coming. So you need to be updated. So whether you will learn basic or you will get updated. So it's better to find a mentor and get a course of it and learn from it. But make sure that mentor knows everything and every puzzle should be solved. Okay, moving forward. So experience required. What are different experience which has been required? So experience required. 17% of available job requirements are looking for fresher candidates. 17% is a very good number. It's a very good number. Just remember that every year nearly 2 to 3 lakhs engineers are out. And as we know that this field is not restricted to any one particular domain, like for computers or civil. So many machine learning engineers are there, which are from civil background, mechanical background, from ENTC, IT, computer. So it is open for all the engineers. So from 3 lakh, 4 lakh engineers, which are passing every year, 17%, it's a good number. And as you require only one seat to satisfy your requirement. So I will suggest that for a fresher, it's a good number. And if you have a job experience, then for 38% of data science job openings are for professional with more than 5 years of job experience. But up to 0 to 5 years, if you just sum it up, it will be up to 50%. So it is very nice that because as I told, there is a demand there and the supply is very less. So they are consuming the freshers also, as an they give the internship. If you perform good in internship, then they consume you in their companies. Let us see which industry prefer you as a data scientist, machine learning, and AI engineer. So the most preferred is banking and financial services. As you know that many of you might be knowing that financial institute, they work on a time series analysis. So like share market and all those parts. So they make a decision with machine learning. So it's not like this that any one person says that ha aaj share बढ़ जाएंगे आपके and you can purchase it. No, the big companies have a good models of machine learning, and with those model they make a prediction that what could be the price of Tata, what could be the price of Reliance today. With a prediction model, they come to a conclusion and then they buy that share and they are in a good profits. So banking and financial services, So it itself shows that how ahead they are of us and how they are making a money out of it. So banking and financial services use 41% of the data services. Then there is energy, pharma, e-commerce. E-commerce is also increasing nowadays. I will give you very good example of it. You just go on an Amazon and type something you want to buy, like for example headphone, and you search for some 10 to 15 minutes, and you go to any other website of your will, you will find that you will get an ad of headphones only. How it happens? How it happens? And that too of Amazon. So this is how they take your data, learn from your data, and make prediction. Yes, this person wants an headphone. Let's bombard him with the multimedia things where he can see only. So he registers that headphones in your subconscious mind to purchase it from Amazon. You just try it on your own and you will find an answer. A very good example is of YouTube and Google also. In YouTube, you search anything for cricket, for example. So you will get always a search result of cricket only. So how it happens? Actually, we are not looking at our phones right now according to our will, but we are looking what they are showing. This is very important. What we are looking, what they are showing. We never search. Whatever they take our search history and they show what they want to show, not what we want to see. This has been changed in a past decade very nicely. You can go through the very good blogs and you can find it out. Okay. So there is a future of machine learning? So this is very important question because you're taking it as a path of a career. So I would like to conclude it that let us see how the future will turn up for the machine learning. As per estimate, means if we see the machine learning market, it would be of 8.81 billion by the year 2022. So by 22, it will be nearly 9 million USD. It's in dollar. So remember, it's a big industry where if you put your foot, you'll be in a good position in next coming years. So where it will work? It will work in a different domains as shown in a figure, like traffic prediction, automatic, then virtual personal assistants, image processing, email spam filtering. Very good example of Google for machine learning is like email spam. So once we abbreviate it as in spam, so it segregates which are good real emails and which are spam emails. So yes, there is a future in machine learning and definitely you should go with it. So I have given statistics. So you should get a big idea whether to go it with the machine learning or not. So there is a big fear. All of you know Kung Fu Panda. So there is a big fear of machine learning and AI, right? But don't worry, with a good technique, hard work, and a good mentor like Master Shifu, you will get a good result that you can get over your fear. And if you have any questions, you're most welcome. Before answering anything, I would like to show you one program which I have made using Python and TensorFlow. Can I show it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is an object detection program with the help of YOLO using the Coco libraries. I have done this. So right now the COVID-19 scenario is a big pandemic which has came into our lives. So this could be one good solution for it. Like if there are two persons sitting next to each other, we can calculate whether they are at a safe distance or they are maintaining social distancing or not. But I haven't implemented right now for social distancing, but I have implemented it for the object detection and how intelligent is machine is beginning. is has become. Let us go with the demo itself. Uh, Sorry, I can't show you because I'm using the camera for Zoom also, and the same camera is been used for my project also. So I can't show it. Sorry for that. Uh, because it will make a conflict over there. I really want to show you that, but as I'm using a single camera for Zoom and same for my project, so I can't show you right now. Yes, any questions?
Sir, where can we find these books online? Do you have a site or something like that?
You just type the name and you will get it. Just write free books, you will get it. No issues.
Okay, thank you, sir.
If you have any questions, you can raise it. Hello. Hello, Vivek sir. Hello. 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 Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Hello.
Okay. Uh, Thank you. Uh, I guess all of you got what I have thought right now. So there are no questions. But if you have any questions, I am easily reachable with these credentials. So you can have this credential for further reference also.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, Hemant
Thank
sir.
you so much, sir.
Yes,
Um,
Vivek sir.
yes, I would like to thank you so much to you because this is going to be very much helpful to the students to decide their career path.
Hope I have catered all their questions.
Okay, if students, if you find any difficulty in deciding your career path, which course to take, whom to follow, you can definitely contact to Hemant sir. Okay, and that was a very nice session, sir. Thanks a lot once again.
Okay, thank you so much. Sir, I have one request. If students are interested,
Mhm.
can we make a Telegram group where all can join who are enthusiastic about the machine learning? So I
Mhm.
can post them some good things and they can learn from it.
Okay, I will do it, sir. I will make a Telegram group for the students so that over there they can have easily communication in between them and you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you so much.
for students, I am posting a Google Form link in the chat window in the Zoom itself. यहाँ पे chat window में एक Google Form की link भेज रहा हूँ, उसको fill up कर दीजिए. Okay, all the students fill up the Google Form link. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir.
Hope it will, hope
Yes,
it
sir.
have helped you in any means.
Thank you, sir. Students, shall I end our meeting?
Yes, sir.
Everyone, you can say no.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.